went to a week-long snowboarding camp during winter break in middle school. Living near a mountain, I'd never really had an interest in the sport. But a few of my friends were going, and I didn't want to spend the whole vacation sitting at home by myself while they got to go make memories that would solidify them as better friends than me, of course. So, a week earlier, my dad takes me to a little winter sports shop to get my board, required gear. The camp had sent out a letter explaining everything I'd need to be prepared for the week. At camp, the cabins were separated by boys on the left and girls on the right side of the hill. Then, we were grouped off by skill levels. I was assigned to the Green Gecko's cabin, meaning for one whole week I'd have to wear a bright green t-shirt with a smiling, toothy gecko on it, while rarely getting to see my friends because they were in the intermediate cabins. Each troop had 5 girls and a counselor. The cabins were relatively big, and on the left and the right walls are 2 bunk beds each, then 1 normal bed toward the back wall for the counselor. I got the bottom bunk, but each bed had a little window, probably 24 inches by 12 inches, longer than it is wide. You could open the window to let in air, but there was a thick mesh screen to keep the animals out. Since getting there, I've kept my window open while sleeping. I enjoyed breathing in the crisp air while in my warm sleeping bag as I dozed off. But midweek, I thought I was still dreaming when I was awoken by someone whistling to get my attention. Assuming one of my friends had snuck out, I rolled over and looked through the mesh. But peering through the other side of the fabric barrier, there was a girl, and she looked identical to me. She wore a smile as if she already had known how familiar we were. I couldn't help but smile back. She gestured for me to come outside. I whispered, no, too afraid of waking up my counselor. The girl crawled out of view. When she returned, she had a small black plastic bag, like one you'd get from the gas station. She opened the plastic bag, revealing a heap of candy. Again, I whispered, no. I didn't want to risk getting caught. I suggested that we meet up at breakfast the next morning. She made a high, squealy grunt before standing and running away, leaving the bag of candy next to the window. When she stood up, I noticed that she had no shoes on. Then I noticed her shirt was the same green and white as my cabin's colors. Then she was gone, into the darkness of the trees. I laid there for a moment, questioning if I'd just had a lucid waking dream. I laid back down, and maybe a half hour later, I heard camp security quietly open our cabin door. They shine the flashlight from bed to bed. I pretend I'm asleep, facing the wall as the light scans the bunks. The security guard then quietly steps out, beeps his walkie-talkie saying, "No, they're all accounted for," before walking away. The next morning, I wake up and I almost forgot about the night's happenings, chalking them up as a really strange dream. It's only when I go outside and I see the small black plastic bag that it all becomes vivid again, half covered in a dusting of snow. The black plastic reflected off the morning sun. I walked over and picked up the bag, remembering all of the candy that was previously shown to me. When I untied the bag and I opened it, what laid inside were 3 dead frogs, their innards cut out in a frozen pool that conjoined the 3 frogs like an atrocity of God. I dropped the bag, immediately telling my counselor what had happened and showing them the bag. At breakfast, I never did see the girl that looked like me. For the rest of the week, camp security heightened their patrols on their snowmobiles around the cabins. When I was in the 3rd grade, I made friends with the new girl in town, Allison. She moved into the house next door to my already best friend, Emily. Before her, the home was owned by an old couple who raised their family there, I guess. We never met any kids, and we never went over there, except for Halloween. We'd go trick-or-treating. Anyway, it was sort of exciting to get to go into this new house that we'd seen from the outside so many times, but never the inside. We would spend a lot of time playing between the houses, Emily's and Allison's, as my house was 2 streets over. Both houses were bright, let lots of light in, similar layouts like most of the houses in our neighborhood. But in some ways, Allison's home was just a little different. It hadn't been remodeled, sort of thing. Large, foggy, yellow glass windows above the front door, instead of the clear glass window above Emily's. The flooring in most of Allison's house was this dark brown laminate flooring. Some areas were carpet, also dark brown, sort of thicker. Either way, Allison's family was really nice. Everything was normal there, but there were times that it felt straight out of a dream, despite being wide awake. The first sleepover. It was actually the last one. I came up with many excuses in the future, as did Emily, for why we couldn't stay the night. The other thing about Allison's house, it was her basement. Of course, it wasn't finished like all the other houses, like Emily's. Her basement was a laundry room, I guess, but these exposed walls, you could see through to the crawl space when you were down there. Basically, you could walk right into the basement walls. Not that anyone would want to. Super, super creepy. What was even worse is that this basement didn't have a door. The door had been removed. It was unclear if they were going to be reconnecting the door, but either way, from the inside, it remained doorless. During our sleepover, it was decided that we would be sleeping in the living room. I'd opted to sleep on the couch since I wasn't really fond of the floor, and I didn't want a crowd on a chair. As I lay on the couch, I'm immediately uncomfortable by the fact that I have a perfectly clear view of the basement doorway. A dark hallway that's only made lighter by the fact that the basement area is pitch black. It's from there, this vantage point, I see something shadowed emerge from the doorway. Immediately, I jump up, letting out a scream before covering my mouth to muffle the scream. Both Allison and Emily don't know what I'm doing, and they ask exactly that. Feeling like a fool, I explain myself, but I only felt more foolish as they grinned at me. I took my place on the couch and I just faced the other direction. Of course, this just made me feel like I was being watched from behind, so I opted to sleep on the floor with the other two. As we tried to fall asleep, well, Emily and I, since Allison was already sleeping, we turned off the TV and just joked around in the somewhat dark living room. The glow from the kitchen above the stove light provided just enough light for us to kind of see each other. I then see Emily's face, and I can see that she's looking just past and above me. Her face goes from normal Emily to something I've never seen. I don't even know how or why we both jolted up at the same time, but we did. I quickly turned to face the direction that she was facing, the direction of the basement. I see nothing, but it feels awful to look in that direction. I feel Emily grab my arm, then my hand. She looked like me, she said softly. What? Who? I said. But Emily didn't answer further. Instead, she laid back down and said, maybe we should just go to sleep. And I guess that's when we both tried and eventually succeeded in falling asleep. I didn't stay asleep, though. I woke up. No idea what time it was or how much time had passed because I didn't move. The sun hadn't come up yet. I woke up to Emily, but it wasn't Emily, it was her voice. It sounded like she was talking to someone in the other room, in the basement. I almost followed the sound. I thought she was saying my name. My body moved and I was almost up. But then I saw that she's laying right next to me. I don't know why there were two Emilys. I don't know what happened to Allison's house, but something just wasn't right. Hated that feeling so much. Is that what an evil spirit feels like, you think? Why did it choose Emily's form? Has anyone else ever experienced anything like this before?